so inevitably we're letting kids know early on that you are the center, that you can decide whatever you want. There's no laws you have to adhere to or submit to. There's no reality you have to defer to. There's no given that you have to adapt yourself to. You can be whoever you want to be. And part of is that just the sort of origin of some of our dysfunction?
I do think we're in a sort of deepening reality crisis, you might call it, where the very sense that there is an external reality that is impervious to your, wishes and, to your kind of desire for psychic comfort, that we're very uncomfortable with that and sort of do everything we can to hold at bay any kind of confrontation with a reality that compromises our sort of self-affirmations. So, I mean, this shows up in all kinds of ways. And one of them, I think, is this safetyism, which is the environment that kids are brought up in. And one way you make kids safe is by kind of fully subjecting to rational control the world that they live in. And I think one thing that does is it makes your own powers of making sense of the world kind of superfluous or even disqualified, because you're not an expert.
It's
so
sort of
common,
like living your life with a GPS system instead of actually figuring your way around a town and remembering things, and then slowly over a period of time knowing where to get from here to there because you're intimately familiar with the place. You get to know the place. This is how human beings lived forever. Now you just you get in your car, you plug in a destination, it tells you, you don't even have to think about where you're going. And is that sort of a denial in some ways of our humanity, or is it just a sane? I mean, one of the obvious objections to what you're saying is, look, we're a complicated society. We want to take care. We don't want to have children dying by suffocating. We don't want them falling into streams and drowning. And we need to organize things. We need to regulate the environment. We need to make sure you don't just put up some monstrous house where you can. I mean, there are lots of reasons why we have to. Now, how would you respond to that? That these things are, I think you'd probably say up to a point, right? After which things get really surreal.
Yeah, I mean, all those things are obviously true, but I think we have gotten to a point of, this weird fetish of control that really slips the bonds of any kind of, realistic calculation of cost and benefit. It becomes a sort of fetish. And, obviously safety is good. I have kids of my own. I'm certainly very concerned with their safety. But what doesn't get articulated is the cost of trying to sort of remove all contingency and hazard from the world. So there's this great thinker named Johan Huizinga, the Dutch historian who sort of an anthropologist, really, who wrote this book called Homo Ludens, so man, the player. So it's an account of play as the basis of civilization. And one thing he says is that the spirit of play is one of enduring tension and uncertainty at the outcome. Something is at stake, and the outcome is not a given. And in light of that, you can see that our kind of spirit of rational control is at odds with the spirit of play.